Jupiter Real Estate Market Update, February 2025, Single Family Homes Edition. This is where I attempt to give both home buyers and home sellers all the data they need to make a more informed real estate decision. We're going to go over things like median pricing, median price per square foot, months of inventory, list to sales price ratios, some other fun things too. My name is Prindle. If you've been thinking about buying or selling real estate here in or around Jupiter, please feel free, give me a call, send me a text. My phone number is 786-443-7203. My email address, which I'll also link below, is caseyprindle@gmail.com. Reach out to me sooner rather than later, honestly, because the more runway that I have, the easier it is for me to position you. Data in this report is going to run about 30 days behind, so even though we're in February, we're going to be looking at January data. Stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to give you some of my additional thoughts on the market. All right, everyone, how we doing? All right, let's get started. So, median price, $1,048,750 here in Jupiter for single-family homes. Look, if you've watched a couple of my videos, you probably know I don't put a whole lot of stock in this number. Median pricing is too easy to kind of mess around with because of the small sample size that we have here. There's just not enough sales, I think, to make this a meaningful metric. If you wanted to look at something, overall, like that, how the county's doing, that's a little bit different. But here with not that many sales, I don't think it's that meaningful. What I do think that you can take away from this chart, if you look at it, is if you just look and say, overall, median price has risen the last 5 years, right? That's kind of the biggest takeaway that I would take with this. And quite honestly, that's about it. Even though a lot of people like to fixate on it, it's just not one of my favorite statistics. But let's get into a statistic I do think is very meaningful. All right, number of properties sold here in Jupiter last month, 58. Year over year, I think we're down from, there we are, 62 down to 58. So, I mean, look, it's not a huge number down. A couple of things, look, for total context, there are roughly 26,000 single-family homes here in Jupiter. 26,000. 58 of those sold last month. The reason that I bring this up is because, I want people to understand we don't have a whole lot of for sale inventory here in Jupiter, and we don't have a whole lot of sales going on. 58 out of 26,000. Not exactly a rip-roaring number, right? A couple of things I do want to take from this. If you kind of look at the trend line, take the peaks, we're in a downtrend, right? There's no other way around it. Just the number of sales are going down. Who does this help? Who does this hurt? Of course, if you're a seller, you want more sales happening, right? That's just logic. If you're a buyer and fewer sales are happening, it likely means it's easier to negotiate on the property that you're looking at. That's the kind of takeaway that I want you to take from this, other than to note, look, we're bouncing around the bottom of this chart. Quite honestly, I don't really see a catalyst that's going to change that, at least going into, say, third quarter of this year. I kind of be surprised if it does, but, single family homes in Jupiter, if you've seen a past video that I've done historically, it's more active in the summertime than it is this time of year. So that could be the bump that we get, going into third quarter, but we shall see. Let's move on. All right, sold to list price ratio. This is going to be the percentage that a property sold versus its original listing price, not its listing price if it was moved down a couple of times, based off the original price. So, call it about a 5% discount to market that you're seeing overall, right? A few things to note of this. First, if you're a seller, you want this number to be very high. It means buyers aren't negotiating. If you're a buyer, you want this number to be very low. It means that sellers are more negotiable. Now, if you look, we're kind of bouncing up here a little bit. I have a theory on what's happening here. The market is usually slow to respond. I think that sellers are understanding a little bit more that, we're not back here any longer. And I think that the prices are becoming more realistic. Look, if you meet with me, I'm probably going to tell you, you want to price on the downside right now. Aspirational pricing just isn't working. It's just not working. So that's kind of the takeaway here. Let us move on to median days on market. All right, before we move on, if you are looking at buying or selling a property here in Jupiter, please call or text me, 786-443-7203. If I somehow scare you and you would not like to talk to me on the phone, you can email me. My email address is caseyprindle@gmail.com. Median days on market. I have a number of notes, so you're going to see me kind of glance down here because there's a lot of data I don't want to miss in this. Median days on market is one of those important statistics that you need to go through, understand, and kind of look at cautiously. So here we are, 39 days on market. Quite frankly, lower than I expected. With prices being higher and sales being down, you would have expected median days on market to go up, right? So definitely kind of an interesting dichotomy going on here. This means a number of things. Now, first of all, median days on market is just the number of days that you were active to pending sale. It doesn't include the time you took to get to sale. Meaning if you had a 30-day contract, for example, the time that you put your house on market till you get your money in the bank account is going to be 69 days if you're using this. Okay, so just kind of understand what the number is. So who are benefits from lower days on market? Obviously sellers. Higher days on market means, buyers aren't pressured to make a decision. Here's what this also means. If you're a buyer and you see a house that's been on the market for 2 weeks and you're like, hey, I'm going to fire off a low offer. This thing's been on market way too long. You're just wrong. Not the median that you're looking at is 39 days. Remember, some of this stuff out there, it gets sold after being on market, 200 days or so, mixed in with the 0 and 1 day stuff, which is usually just kind of an off-market sale that's being registered on market or, really competitively priced home. So anyways, that's one thing I want to point out. Let me just, there's the other thing I want to point out. So I want to look at, if you kind of drew across here, what would you say the average is? Are we somewhere around 30 to 35 days? I'd say closer to 30 days probably. Over a 5-year average. Right around here somewhere. So look, our median days on market aren't that far off the average that we've had over the last 5 years. I don't believe so anyways. So I just think that's something I wanted to point out. I think it's good information for people to have. Let us move on. Median price per square foot. All right, so if you've listened to me for any amount of time, you will know to just tune this out completely. Look, the good stuff is selling, and what I mean by that is the renovated and good condition stuff, and the renovated and good condition stuff is going to sell for a higher price per square foot. That's just kind of where the market is. At the end of this video, I'm going to put a finer point on that because I feel like even though I've been screaming this for, I guess, close to a year now, the world finally listened, and Zillow did an article just about this. So I was happy to feel validated. But anyways, look, year over year, we're about where we were. I think we're, here we are. So 387 to 441, bit of a bump up. Look, again, same thing that we did with median sold pricing. I think what you can say is overall the trend is price per square foot is rising. It has been rising over the last 5 years. That's what to take away from this is. Aside from the fact that the nicer stuff is selling, those are the two takeaway points. Don't put a whole lot of extra effort into staring at this, honestly. So that's what I got for you there. All right, total dollar volume, another thing that I don't want you to put a whole lot of stock into. Again, first of all, this chart's totally unreliable. It's all over the place. Second of all, the data set's just too small, right? Only 58 sales. But something I've pointed out in the past that I would like to point out again, I'm going to have to peek down at my note to get you the exact numbers, but here's the deal. Headline that you would see is $95 million in total single-family home sales. What the headline doesn't say is the top 5 sales of those 58 sales that we have back there, the top 5 sales made up $27 million of that volume. So the top 9% of transactions accounted for 28% of the volume. This is why I don't like to look at it a lot. Jupiter has a wide swath in pricing, right? You have Admiral's Cove waterfront stuff. It's just going to sell for a whole lot more than something that's landlocked closer to the center of town, right? But because we're not, whatever you want to say, Texas, Iowa, whatever, we have waterfront and non-waterfront. It all gets lumped together. If you start working with me, whether you're a buyer or a seller, we're going to start splitting this data up. I just do this generically because it would take me forever to go through every kind of data set with waterfront, non-waterfront, this zip code, that zip code. But if you start working with me, that's how we're going to look at the data. We're going to slice it all down and make it much more bite size. So that's what I got for you on the overall number. On we go. All right, I lied for a second. Before we go on, I do want to say this. Look, most of the data that people pump out there, if you're reading the Palm Beach Post or something like that, it's never specific to Jupiter. I try to create data so that you don't get a false impression of the market. If you're looking at just Jupiter, you need to look at just Jupiter. From there, as I just said, you need to slice things down. If you're in Jupiter Farms, where I live, we don't really have much to do with what's going on towards the waterfront. They're independent markets. So zip code 33478 is going to be different than zip code 33458. To that end, I created 5-year look-back studies for a bunch of zip codes here in Jupiter. Not that there are that many, but I wanted to isolate by zip code a 5-year look-back so you can really see the overall trend of a specific area. So if you'd like a copy of any of those reports for any of those zip codes, again, call or text me. Give me your email address and I can email the report out to you. I think it's really interesting, honestly. And it's much more granular and specific than just this. So now we can move on. Okay, now to my favorite statistic, supply numbers. What this chart shows you is if sales remained stable over the next 12 months, how many months of supply would we have? How long would it take to eat through all existing supply if 58 sales happened every single month? This is the best pulse of the market, I feel. Look, we're stable. We're actually leveling off, right? I mean, look at this. Look at this. It's been kind of all over. Here we are. Why do I think it's happening? I think it's logical, to be honest with you. I think here's what I'm seeing. Sellers who had a 3 or 4% rate, who were rate locked and said, I can't sell my property with my 3 or 4% rate to go to a 6 or 7% rate. It just doesn't make sense. Look, there's lifestyle changes. That's why real estate largely moves based off lifestyle changes, which is you're growing a family, you need more bedrooms. Somebody had a home, they passed away. Somebody had a home, they need to move to assisted living. Somebody had a home, they just need to downsize. Somebody gets divorced. Though it's rare in the market right now, Liz pendants or notice of default gets put out by the bank because somebody's not paying a mortgage. These are events that are going to force you to sell your home. I think that buyers and sellers are adjusting to the new normal, and that new normal being rates are probably going to be stuck in the 6 to 7% range. I don't think those 3 or 4% days are coming back. Look, if you were lucky enough to lock that rate in, great, good for you. But if something happens in your life and you have to move, you have to move. If you're sitting around waiting for that 3 or 4% rate to come back, I just don't think that's the best strategy. Unless you can convince me that rates are going back that way, and I just don't think you can. So, who's this good for? Quite honestly, lower inventory is better for sellers, right? Buyers have fewer choices. Higher inventory, better for buyers. Buyers have more choices. Here where we're in kind of a leveled off market, and 6 months is nationally what's considered to favor neither buyers nor sellers. I think we're a little less here locally. I think somewhere around 4 months is about the average. So I would say we're slightly favoring buyers here, but not heavily. We're only looking at a 7% 12-month change. If you saw some of my videos, when we were back here and we ran up to here, you're looking at several 100% changes over that period of time. So that's what I got there in terms of months of supply. Let me get on to some of my final thoughts. All right, couple final thoughts. First thing, I show you guys sold data. I don't go up to active data, but I do want to keep an eye on this. This is the number of active listings that are coming to market. I'm curious just to see where the actives go. We've been kind of increasing this inventory. I'm curious to see if we keep getting a bump up here, because that is going to change some things. And, again, this is going to flow through down onto our inventory levels, our supply levels. So it's kind of a leading thing to keep an eye on. I just think it's kind of an interesting chart. Now, on to, Casey was right. I love to do these. So look, I'm going to link this article from Zillow here down below. I've been saying for months, the good stuff is selling. If you're going to meet with me, I'm going to tell you, renovate. Don't try to just throw your old shag carpet out there. The listing's going to sit. The days of DIY are over. By and large, I don't know that people were really listening to me. I think a lot of it was being tuned out because, Chip and Joanna are out there and people think that this is, renovations are what buyers want. Well, look, if they're going to want your renovation, they're going to want it at an extraordinarily low price. So I don't think you want that as a seller, unless there's an absolute reason that you just don't want to put money into the property prior to sale. A lot of times, quite frankly, that's kind of a probate or inheritance situation. But I feel vindicated. I'm going to post the article from Zillow down below, but I'm also going to read to you what I think was most important. Now, remodeled listings on Zillow get 26% more daily saves and are shared with a shopping partner 30% more often than homes that are not remodeled. These metrics of demand suggest shoppers are more serious about these listings and less likely to take the next more likely to take the next step in the home buying process. No matter what you feel about Zillow, like it, love it, hate it, 98% of home shoppers, that's a National Association of Realtors statistic, 98% of home shoppers start their search online. I bring this up with every single seller that I meet with. You have to show well online or people are just not going to look at your property. I think this is a study that is, interesting that it finally came out. Like I said, I've been feeling it for the better part of a year. And I really want people to pay attention to it because I think it's super important. So, last time, if you're thinking about buying or selling a home here in Jupiter, call, text, or email me. My name is Casey Prindle. I greatly appreciate every single one of you that watches these videos, especially if you stuck around through until the end. Don't be shy. Even if you're not thinking of buying or selling anytime soon, you just want to talk about real estate, reach out to me. We'll see you next month.